It's the Pop Culture Show with cult classic swagger. This is Inglorious Brothers. I'm Matt Harper, and together with my brother Justin, we dive into the deep end of the zeitgeist each week to bring you cool talk and hot takes. No genre is too specific, no topic too broad, and no rabbit hole too deep as we open our minds and enjoy each other's company. Sound good? Then let's ride.
Hello and welcome to Inglorious Brothers. I'm Justin and I'm here with Matt, and on today's show, we're finally putting the nail in the coffin of movie awards season with our reactions to the recent Academy Awards ceremony. We'll assess the winners and losers both on stage in Los Angeles and on this podcast as well. And that latter portion ain't gonna be pretty, at least not for you and I, as we saw a dark horse co-predictor and guest of the show put a hurtin' on us. So stick around and we'll be right back with one last ultimate endgame, no mas, final conversation about the Oscars. Welcome to the show. We don't typically put little beginnings on our shows, but we felt it necessary. As you're going to see here in just a second, we will be wearing different clothes and recording at night and here in just a few. So we have decided to do a full rebrand for our pop culture podcast, and we are naming it Inglorious Brothers. We just felt that our messages were kind of getting muddied by the way we were doing it, and have decided to just completely separate our two podcasts entirely. We will have Beyond the Slipstream, our cycling podcast. We will have Inglorious Brothers, our pop culture podcast. And that way they can live in their own places and be their own things and not be as confusing as we feel they are. And hopefully that'll help us gain traction with listeners on both sides of those podcasts, because we really do feel that they are probably very different people. Hopefully there'll be some overlap, but very likely that, one will appeal to one set of people and one will appeal to a different set of people.
Yeah, it's the second half of a overall kind of reshaping of what we're doing here. We've gone back to our original name for our cycling podcast, and we've come up with a new name for our pop culture podcast, Inglorious Brothers. No doubt our listeners will get the reference, so we need not spell it out. But we're happy with the name. We're happy with our new look for this show, and we're excited to move on to a new chapter in our developing a podcast story.
So on that note, enjoy the show. So the Oscars were Sunday night, and this is like the first time in many, many years that I have actually been invested in the Oscars. This is by far the most Oscar nominated movies that I've watched like ahead of the Oscars for a year, any given year, probably in my lifetime. But I have to say, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It made it much more enjoyable. I know this is a thing that is always on your radar and something that you tend to do every year. And so I kind of glommed on with that. And I had a remarkable time. And I watched some really, really good films.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been actually sort of recording picks now for a couple of years, sort of in line with a few of the podcasts that I've listened to. But yeah, I've been leaning into my movie, my cinephilia, a lot in the last couple of years, trying to record a lot of films on my Letterboxd account. And I am in complete agreement. This was fun as heck. I enjoyed the living daylights out of this thing. I think it's probably the same kind of vibes you get if you were way into football and your team went to the Super Bowl and you were playing fantasy all year long, and just that kind of thing. Really invested in it. It's a bit of a challenge to watch all those movies. It's fun to talk about the Oscar race and to watch the fallout from all the other award shows and stuff. It's just a fun thing to track and be a part of. And you can participate very actively in it because you got to watch all the movies in order to weigh in and have an opinion. So,
Very
not
true.
not only was the run up to the event really, really fun, but the event itself was really fun. I mean, just watching along and keep tracking your predictions. You know, we had our little group chat going with me, you, and Mark, who picked with us on our show last week. Um, and then, of course, I was watching it with the wife and kids, and there was some stuff in there for kids. I mean, my kids came alive when the K-pop Demon Hunters stuff came on in Golden. They were singing along with the song, and even though I have stuff to say about the Golden and all that, but that was really cool. My wife
I
was
mean,
really into it. We made a
you
nice
have
dinner.
to
I
you
mean,
have to say, like, oh my god, what a catchy freaking song that is.
oh yeah, but they didn't let them play the whole song at the show.
They didn't do. I don't think they did the whole song for anything.
Well, they just did the Sinner song was the other one that they did, and yeah, that one I don't know. That seemed a little bit more involved, but anyways, it's neither here nor there. It was great. The wife and kids loved it. It was just fun, so fun to just. I mean, to me, it went by like very quickly. Like that show did not seem to drag on, even though it can be kind of draggy at times. And I
So
mean, they managed to get through 24 awards. That's the total. We didn't pick all of them in our picks, as we'll get into more, but I believe that there are a total of 23 awards presented on the or 24 awards presented on the show each year, up from
so
23 last year because they just added one.
it was 3.5 hours, and it didn't feel like 3.5 hours at all.
Yeah.
Like I honestly, I'm going to be just pull back the curtain a little bit. I thought the red carpet started at 7, and so I turned it on at like 7:06, thinking it was going to be, red carpet, and it's the always affable Conan O'Brien in Amy Madigan's wig from Weapons, and I'm like, oh shit, this is already going. So like, I had to immediately lock in, and so I missed the very, very beginning of it, the first like probably 5 minutes. And sadly, I'm sure I'll go back and watch it at some point.
Well,
But
let's just jump into it right there then. I mean, that's the opening of the thing, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, they kind of did a classic sort of Billy Crystal style bit with Conan sort of weaving himself into most of the Best Picture nominees. You know, he's immediately dressed as the Amy Madigan character from Weapons, which was not nominated for Best Picture, I don't, or was
no,
it?
it
No,
wasn't.
yeah, that was one of the snubs. Um, but obviously that character was nominated and won very shortly after the show began.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, he went through Marty Supreme, and he went through Sinners, and he went through. Did he go through one battle? Yeah, he went through one battle, and it's just kind of a funny bit. You know, Conan, of course, has got the great face, such a great face. Um, And so it was a fun way to open the show, and then that led on to his monologue. What'd you think of the monologue?
Um, I don't know. I always feel like these things are so hard to get perfect, but as it was as good as it could be. I'm glad that he called out certain things, and you know,
Yeah, I mean, he got off several really good jokes, I thought.
yeah,
I mean, he
he
opened
did.
with like the opera ballet joke, and they cut to Timothy Chalamet just like right off the bat. All right, Timmy, not only is your movie not going to win a single Oscar award tonight, but we're going to be going after you. Um, he
Yeah,
mentioned
long
the
night for Timothy Chalamet.
yeah,
Chalamet,
Timothée Chalamet.
Chalamet.
He mentioned the alternate Oscars that were being hosted by Kid Rock. I thought that was funny.
That was very funny. I will
He
say
went
that.
he went straight at Ted Sarandos, the Netflix captain, saying it was his first time ever being in a theater.
Where did he say that they were holding the alternative Oscars? That
It
was
was
also
it
funny.
was someplace funny, and I forgot to make a note of it. He said Hamnet and Begonia sounded like off-brand lunch meat.
Yeah, that was good. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I'll
he
give him
said
that.
he said that Hamnet opened with Jesse Buckley birthing a child in the woods, or as we call it, affordable health care. That was funny. And he went after Bezos and said that Amazon Studios was not nominated. And then the joke that he made after that was kind of clunky, but it was still good that he was going after them.
Yeah, he was going after why is my delivery service, trying to make movies.
Right. And then he said the Brits didn't fare very well throughout awards season, but they said, hey, at least they arrest their pedophiles.
Which good on him for saying, because it's fucking true.
And then they ended the whole thing with Conan canonizing himself. Guy pops up dressed as the Pope. He gives him a blessing, and then Conan blesses him back. And then he climbs to the top of the mountain. He's like, Cicero, my Oscar. And an owl flies in. That was pretty funny. I was cracking up. Like that was, it wasn't just like mind-bendingly funny, but it was good. It did the job.
That's why I say it's so hard. I feel like it's so hard for those things to ever be really perfect, because some of the jokes are going to fall flat, because some of the jokes, despite working them over and over and over and over again, they're going to fall flat because they've been worked over and over and over again, because
right.
You've tried to hone in the funny so precisely that sometimes you realize that it's oh wait, it's not as funny as we thought it was. But I think he does a good job, and he is a good host in the sense, like having real hosts, like talk show hosts hosting it, is always good. I mean, I don't know that in my memory that I will ever think that anybody did as good a job as Billy Crystal used to do, because I feel like he's the gold standard at the Oscars. But he does a very good job.
Yeah, and they also brought Kimmel out, who's done it a couple of times here in the past few years, and is part of the family there at the network. So, and Kimmel did good. Like he's very capable as well. So, Kimmel did what many of the people that were presenting did, which is, and I think this is smart the way they do that. The way they would group awards together, like they would give like best documentary short, and then they would give the best documentary. They would give best animated short, best animated feature. That to me makes a lot of sense.
I think that's how they're able to get through that many awards in such short order.
Exactly. And next year, like, again, the benefit of hindsight, learning curve, etc. Like next year, number one, I definitely want to make picks in all of the categories for the entire night. I want to, like, going into it, I want to make sure that we all have a ballot where we're picking every single one of them. Number two, I think it'd be fun to bring in like a fourth person to make picks as well. And then what was the other thing I was going to say? I lost my train of thought. Well, and then start a little bit earlier, like, because we did I guess did we do our reaction? I guess we did do a reaction show to the nominations, right? So that was January 31st. I don't know. Maybe if we just make more of an effort to get like all of the films seen, like sort of like the ones that we know are going to be nominated or something, just so that after the nominations are public, we can turn our attention to just zeroing in on the stuff that we would not have even been able to guess was going to be nominated. The animated shorts and stuff like that.
Well, Mark is apparently the expert, so like he should be the one to be like, you need to go see this movie.
Yeah. Well, and I do want to see that movie that he recommended last week when we watched the trailer together. Whatever. All right, so first big award, right off the bat, Zoe Saldana comes out to present Best Supporting Actress, and we get the Amy Madigan win with her like rambling, kind of funny speech, but kind of lighthearted. Cut to her husband.
Shouts out her husband.
Yeah, cut to Ed Harris, who apparently was nominated for directing Pollock. Did not know that. He was the director of Pollock and got a nomination there, but he still doesn't have a win.
Deserved is the word I will use. She was my should win, but I really thought they were going to give it to Teyana Taylor, and I'm very happy that she won. She absolutely deserved it. She embodied that character. And it was great to see them recognize her body of work and the really, really great job she did being a disgusting character.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't realize you had her as your should win. I was 1 for 1 at that point, feeling real good. You were down. I was already up on you, 1-0. After the first one, I'm feeling good.
So you
Mark,
picked Madigan?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was 1-0. Things were off to just a fine start for me. In between her and the next one, which was I think Will Arnett and Channing Tatum presenting for Best Animated Feature, you had Conan saying that they were broadcasting from the Has a Small Penis Theater, and you also
let's see him try to put his name on that.
Yeah, and then you had
that was a good joke.
Yeah, and you had the Jane Lynch bit where she was like doing the commercial interruptions.
Well, that was because it's going to be on YouTube in like a year.
Right. And they hammered that joke a couple of times, including at the very end as well, when they took Conan's Forever host thing off of the door and who did they put on? Mr. Beast. That was funny. So you had Will Arnett and Channing Tatum presenting Best Animated Feature, and they also did Best Animated Short. My daughter Harmony called Best Animated Short. Like after they read through the nominees, she was like, "Oh, it's going to be whatever it was. I can't remember what it was. I don't know.
Or something?
I don't know if Singers. No. That was. Oh yeah.
Singers. Yeah.
No, Singers was the one where there was a tie. That was featured short.
Featured short.
Yeah. I can't remember which one it was, but she called it like no question about it, totally nonchalant. It was it. I don't believe I put in a guess on that one, did I?
So yesterday, by the way, and I forgot to tell you this, I ended up watching Zootopia 2 and Elio yesterday. Like my niece was over, and so I was like laying on the couch with her, and I threw those two movies on back to back and watched them. I kind of dozed through both of them a little bit, but I am now even more shocked that Elio did. I mean, K-pop Demon Hunters was supposed to just be a spectacular, like epic type of event movie. For Elio not to have won, because that that hits all the things, the aliens, like illegal kind, and like family drama, it's like a lot of different notes. And Zootopia 2 is very good with a huge cast. So both of those movies are pretty darn good.
Let's keep the focus on the show itself, if we can, just because I know we're gonna take too long here. I thought Arnett and Tatum were kind of funny together. Both of those guys have excellent comedic chops, and in compared to some of the other ones that came out, like they were way better. So I believe right after that we got the Sinners musical number. So
super dope.
I thought it was so dope. Like the way the camera movement in that thing, it was very like Super Bowl, Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl vibes. The way that the camera work has become so dynamic with the incredible steady cams we have now. And the way that just like all the archetypal characters that were in that scene from the movie were like right there. They like kind of recreated that amazing scene in a live action.
Very, very well.
Yeah, super impressive. I will definitely be going back to check that out again in more detail. I really, really want to take a hard look at that. But yeah, I think we're in agreement that was fantastic. After that, you got the Chalamet bum drum. Remember the Chalamet bum drum? That was kind of funny.
Yeah. It's all right.
Well,
here's what I will say about the production. Matt Berry as the voice of the narrator. I don't know, the narrator, I guess. I don't know what you would consider the guy that's doing the announcing.
The announcer?
Yeah. That's Matt Berry, dude. Matt Berry is hilarious.
I don't know who Matt Berry is.
Matt Berry is from what he's in most recently. What We Do in the Shadows, a show I keep telling you need to watch because it's fucking hysterical. But he's just one of those guys that pops up, but he's got a great voice. I mean, the dude has just a tremendous British voice, and I loved the fact that they had him as the announcer.
Yeah.
And after that was the tie.
Well, no, I think before that, you was it the tie right after that?
I'm pretty sure that was the tie. Very shortly after that.
So that was Kumail, right? Kumail Nanjiani presenting on that one. And Big Picture podcast did their recap thing. I listened to it this morning, and they were talking about how because the presenters don't know who wins when they do that, and so they're thinking that he must have opened that envelope up and literally read something that said, before you announce the winner, you need to tell the audience that there is a tie. Because he did a really good job. He's like, here's how it's going to go down, folks. There's a tie in this category.
Yeah.
One group is going to come up. They are going to give their speech. They are going to sit down. I'm going to announce the other one. They are going to come up. Yeah. Apparently, there was a tie. It's been 13 years since the last time there was a tie, but there have been ties before. So I guess it's a pure numbers thing, and this just happens sometimes. But that was interesting, for sure.
I didn't realize you could tie.
Yeah, it was weird, but I don't know. It was interesting, and Kumail handled himself quite well with that. Around this time, you also got Anne Hathaway and Anna Wintour in easily the two fiercest looks of the night. They both looked so badass. And then they were,
when Anne Hathaway asked her how she looked, and she just went right into the nominees are. That was hysterical.
They used her perfectly. She did not have to do a lot of heavy lifting in the thing, but the line she got off, it was that, and then the other line was when she called her Emily. She's confusing her with Emily Blunt. Obviously, this is all tied in to the upcoming Devil Wears Prada 2. So, but yeah, they use her really, really well. The presentation for casting, I loved how they did that, where they had one actor from each of the 5 nominated movies come out and talk about that casting director. It's really cool. By now, the tide had turned on my ballot. Things are starting to go sideways for me on these ballots. Meanwhile, Mark is just nailing just pick after pick after pick after pick. It was incredible. What was
so the one note I did want to say about the tie, those guys getting was it them that got cut off?
No, it was K-pop Demon Hunters that got cut off brutally.
No, where they took the mic down. That was
maybe it was them.
I thought it was the tie, and they it came back up, and Conan O'Brien made a comment about it.
Oh, the joke that he made, he was like, what did he say? He
was
said,
it's super brutal, but it was funny.
Well, at one point though, after the tie, he said, "You thanks, you've just ruined 22 million Oscar pools."
Yes, that was a good one too.
So, I think the absolute lamest, worst, everything moment award of the night, etc., was Sean Penn. Kieran Culkin comes out. He's not funny. He gets
called Sean Penn out too.
Yeah, he's like, and the winner is not here tonight, Sean Penn. I'll just accept it for him, and he walks off. It was just moment over. Can't believe you've got Delroy Lindo sitting right there. You've got Stellan Skarsgård sitting right there, and you're going to give it to Sean fucking Penn for his 3rd Oscar. The fucker's not even there. Sorry, they should have called an audible on that. When they saw that Sean Penn wasn't there, I was all right. I would have no problem with the Academy being like, fuck that guy. We're giving it to somebody else. This is bullshit. I thought that was fucking weak sauce. I hated that.
Yep.
Absolutely hated that.
Worst award of the night. They got it wrong, in my opinion. I mean, don't get me wrong. His performance was remarkable. But as you said on our show, it was a cartoon character. And Mark called it, though. Mark had that as a win.
Mark nailed it. He did. I mean, the guy's got a sixth sense or something. Shortly after that, you got Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans presenting Best Adapted Screenplay. They were so dumb, like they were just dumb.
Yeah.
And I think there's some kind of Marvel something or other coming up, and I think that's why they were out there together.
That's why he was wearing it's the Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday, and they're both going to be in it, and that's why Downey was in green because he's playing Doctor Doom.
Gotcha. Well, it was that was pretty lame, but then I think they grouped up adapted screenplay and original, and right here you got to see like the big split, the big story for the rest of the night, which was P.T. Anderson comes out and accepts a best adapted screenplay and wins his first Oscar award ever, and then 3 minutes later, Ryan Coogler is on stage accepting his first and in his case only Oscar of the evening. P.T. Anderson, as we will see, came back on stage more than once. This was Coogler's only Oscar, but he got it. You know, he's got Ryan Coogler has an Oscar for best original screenplay, and he was a great presence on the evening as well.
Mm-hmm. It seemed like the whole auditorium was all about that movie. Every time Sinners was announced for anything, it was the biggest applause and loudest noise for sure, every time.
Mm-hmm. And I was on my ballot. I was basically, I mean, that's why my ballot went so wrong, is because I had it on my, at least as far as my picks were concerned, I had it 5-3 Sinners to One Battle. And as it turned out, I think the final for the full show was like 7-4, I think, One Battle to Sinners. So, but yeah, it definitely came down to a big punching match between the two of them.
Yeah.
One Battle came out on the winning side of it. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. After this,
how did you feel about the In Memoriam? The started with the Rob Reiner.
Yeah, that's what we were just getting. What I was just getting to as well. I thought it was good. I thought I was a little surprised. I mean, I don't know. Do you put Robert Duvall on the same level as Diane Keaton? I do. I can see the case for Rob Reiner because he's like one of the all-time greatest directors ever. And when you couple that with like sort of the tragedy of his death, then also I can put Robert Redford up there because Robert Redford started Sundance. Robert Redford like started a revolution in movies in a way. You know what I mean?
Especially for indie film.
Right. Exactly.
Now,
Diane Keaton.
Here's my take on this.
Go ahead.
All right. I think that it's because he died so recently that they probably just didn't have time because I'm sure that those bits are planned out well in advance.
Yeah. I mean,
you're talking
these are professional writers and actors. Like they could put something together.
Still
if they
3
needed
weeks
to.
before the show. I agree.
But at some point, you have to.
It sucks that he's a footnote in that broadcast. I agree.
Yeah,
but
I mean, you got to draw the line at some point. I get that. I mean, we also had Gene Hackman. He could just as easily been up there. I mean, I would say, and then also David Lynch. I mean, as great as conventionally great as Rob Reiner is, I mean, David Lynch is as much an absolute like stone cold legend and one of the great directors of all times as well. So, you gotta cap it someplace.
What did you think of Babs, man? I thought she did a wonderful job, man.
It was wild. I mean, her 80 plus years are definitely showing, and yet at the same time when you listen to that voice coming out of her, that woman can still sing. You know, it's not the same powerful voice she had 30 years ago, but she can sing. She's still got a really nice vibrato, and it was really cool.
She can still command a room.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, she's beloved. So, and you know what? Rachel McAdams, she's fantastic as well. And the little anecdote she told about like Diane Keaton like singing the song from Girl Scouts, was it a Girl Scout song that she would sing on the set of the movie that they did together? I thought that was a very touching little detail.
Oh, and how about her little joke about her wearing many hats? I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think they did really well with that section of the show. Um, and then sometime shortly after that, we got the bridesmaids reunion, which I
That was
loved.
weird. I loved it too, but it was very strange.
Well,
Like
I went
why is
through and
that movie? Why is that movie? Why do we care about that movie 15 years later?
I
Because
because
it
it's
was a
like one of the
breakthrough for
funniest
women.
movies ever made. But I think the real reason is because you already had a lot of the people that were in that movie sitting in the audience. I mean,
Yeah.
you had Rose Byrne nominated for an Academy Award. You had Maya Rudolph's husband winning 3 Academy Awards. That's two of the five right there.
Who is she married to?
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. I didn't put that
Yeah.
together at all.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, you had two of the five. I thought it was interesting because I watched the recap of the actor awards. Did you watch the recap of the actors, or did you watch the actor? I feel like you had seen some of it or something.
Of
Um,
what, the Screen Actors Guild? Is that what
yeah,
you
the
know?
actors, as they're called now. Well, on that show, they had an office lady. They had like a reunion of the women from The Office. So Ellie Kemper was up there as well. It was just kind of weird seeing her doing two walk-on bits in two different award shows as a female member of an ensemble, but they were two different ensembles. Like that was just kind of funny. That's a weird award season for Ellie Kemper.
It is.
Um, but a funny bit that I thought they were like that was the one where they were sort of taking fake questions from the audience and then
Yeah,
making
and they like
jokes, right?
took like multiple shots at Stellan Skarsgård of all people.
Right, and some Leo DiCaprio as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was cool. And then to be quite honest, like my notes sort of tail off from here. I don't know how hard you're
I
taking notes
so
from this point forward if you can keep
one of
us
the
on
things that
track with the
happened after
show.
that was Lionel Richie came
Uh-huh.
out to do the best song,
Right.
and
That man does not look his 70 whatever years that he must be at this point.
I about fell on the floor when he said, "I stood here 40 years ago and won an Oscar."
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean that he's
40
had some he's either had some work or
40
he's got
years
the best
ago.
genetics of all time.
4 decades.
Yeah. It's
Okay,
crazy.
4 decades, and he it was when he won his Oscar. That's absolutely insane.
Right. And he's
Um,
spry. He's
yeah,
he's
he looks
jogging
good.
up on stage. Yeah, he's just like,
Yeah, he
hey,
looked good.
what's up, baby? Lionel Richie.
But yeah, my notes pretty much cease there. So why don't we just go? Why don't we just run down through the winners?
Well, for that one, best original song, of course, we had Golden. So K-pop Demon Hunters completed their sweep. They had two awards and they got them both:
Yes,
best
they did.
animated feature and best original song. And good. That was an entire phenomena. It was great to have something that the children could hook into. I as I said earlier, I absolutely loved watching this with the whole family. And like my kids were on the iPads 90% of the time. But at different moments, they saw stuff they recognized, they perked up, they watched it. And I love the fact that we did that. And I'm going to be pushing that agenda, every year for the foreseeable future.
How happy were you that your documentary won?
That was wild. I was really, really shocked. And of course, like it was bittersweet for me because I didn't
You
pick it to
didn't pick
win.
them.
I mean,
Nope.
it was my should win, but yeah, it was. I mean, I give the guy props for making a political statement in his speech. He was one of the few places where people really got into to much politics, but good on him for that. And
Yep.
as I said, like some of my podcasters had very mixed feelings on that one. Big picture hated that whole category basically uh, this year, but yeah, it was wild.
So Jessie Buckley gets Best Actress, which I think we all agreed was going to happen, and then I feel like the shock of the night was Michael B. Jordan, man, winning Best Actor.
Yeah, yeah, and there was so much love in the room for him.
Oh,
I think he managed to come across as very humble with that. I loved how he shouted
I
out
don't
his,
think
his
he thought for a second he was going to win that.
I mean, he had to know somewhat.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. I feel like his reaction was very genuinely shocked because he was up against some super heavyweights.
Yeah, I thought Jesse Buckley's was a little bit more like kind of. obviously put
Yeah,
on a
dude. But I
little bit.
mean,
She had to put on a little bit more for to seem surprised. Like there's no
I think
way
we all made a great argument for Ethan Hawke to win that award, and he was going up against DiCaprio, who gave like the clip. One of the things that I will say about the overall production, the clips they pick are friggin' the best. But he had like DiCaprio's little clip for Best Actor was the thing where he's like going down that where Benicio del Toro's like going down the hatch and he's like Sensei and he like says that whatever.
Viva la
Yeah,
revolution.
Viva la Revolution. And like that takes you right back into the moment of that movie and I'm like, oh man, he really was great in that fucking movie, man. And like I couldn't tell you how many times after watching a particular clip I was like, you know what, that he could win. Like he could win. But I just didn't see Michael B. Jordan winning. I just didn't see it. Like I just didn't. I could see him winning it at some point. I just didn't see him winning it last night. And he had a sweet little moment with what's Jesse Plemons. Like as he was walking off the stage, he turned around and like gave a little to Jesse Plemons because they were in Friday Night Lights, the TV show together years
Oh
ago.
yeah, yeah,
You know?
yeah. Yeah, that was great. Jessie Buckley had an absolutely stunning look. I just wanted to shout out her look. I
Yeah, she had a great
adored
dress.
like her dress and styling. Um, and yeah, her speech was fine. We knew she was going to win. I thought it was cool to see the first ever cinematography Academy Award to a woman whose name I did not make a note of, but it was the woman that won for One Battle.
No, One Battle did not win.
She won for Sinners,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Um, all right. Let me see if I wrote her name. I did not. Yeah, she won for Sinners. And of course, Mark picked it. Neither
Of
one of
course.
us did. Um, some others, Frankenstein did quite well below the line, picking up, I think, three Oscars, right? They got Frankenstein got
Costume design,
costume. Um,
production design, costume design, and
I think it might have
something
gotten
else.
hair and
Yeah, hair and
styling or something
makeup,
like that. Um,
which we didn't have. That was another category we didn't have.
right. Yeah, we definitely need to add that. One Battle took editing. Did uh,
Yes.
did F did F1 win anything? I don't think F1 won
Yes.
anything.
No. F1 definitely won. They definitely won one of the visual effects, maybe.
If they did. I didn't make a note of it. It wasn't one of the
Yeah,
ones
they
that we
definitely
that
won
we
a
picked.
single Oscar.
We all nailed the
Pretty sure it was the visual
no,
effects Oscar.
no. Avatar won visual effects, and we all got that one right.
They won
I don't think
something.
F1 won anything.
I thought they
Um,
did. I thought they won
maybe maybe
one Oscar.
sound. Maybe sound.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. It was
Yeah,
sound.
and that was another one we didn't pick. Got to remember to pick those next year. Ludwig Göransson got, we were talking about him being the darling of the Oscars.
Yep, and
He
he
got
got
another
score.
one with Score
Yep,
um, for uh, Sinners, right?
yep, for Sinners, and just like I predicted, they split that category. They gave him the score, and they gave K-pop Demon Hunters the song.
Right. Um, so what else did that leave? Paul
Best
Thomas
director
Anderson
and
gets
best picture.
director.
Yeah.
Um, it was it was cool that MBJ got that best actor so that Coogler got his and Michael B. Jordan got his. So you can't call Sinners Oscar campaign unsuccessful.
Mm-mm.
They got two real big awards, and they also picked up some other stuff, right? Didn't you? Yeah, they got cinematography, so they got the
Yeah.
first female cinematographer ever. Um, they got score, so that's pretty good, and I think that's it. So they got four. Yeah, I think it was seven to
Yeah.
four. So certainly not terrible, and you know that Coogler will be around and making movies. He's going to have, a blank check.
His time will come.
Yep, he'll get it for sure, and it's nice that I thought it was funny. I mean, do you remember what P.T. Anderson said when he finally got I think the director went over, he's like y'all really make a guy work hard to get this thing.
Dude, how about the girl that won for his movie earlier was said I got my Oscar before you did.
Yes, that was great. Yeah, she's like, I got mine before I had an Oscar before PTA. Yeah, that was great. And one battle picks up the Best Picture win. You guys both had it. I was going to pick it as well. I had it as should, and I went ahead and said, screw it. I'll give it to Sinners to make this contest more interesting. So,
all right, so obviously Mark won. He ran away with it. So what did the final standings end up being?
I wrote it down here in our thing. I was in last. I went 9 and 10. I got 9 out of 19. You got 11 out of 19. Mark only picked in 16 categories and he nailed 14 of them. So Jesus. do the percentages if you really want to know how the standings looked. But as far as you and I go, you beat me 11 and 9. So, but I will say that I would have picked one battle, but didn't, to keep things interesting. The rest of it, I'd say.
Yeah,
so
but I still would have beat you by one.
Yeah, you would have got me by one. Well, there was another place in there where I was like, screw it, I'll just take blah 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 to be contrary. But I'll give it to you. You won, fair and square. Yeah. But it was certainly very fun. It was fun.
Don't worry, you're trouncing me in the cycling fantasy. So
that one we have no idea how that's going to play out. It's a season long competition. But yeah, it made it way more fun. The whole thing was a whole lot of fun. As I said last week at the beginning of our show, they could certainly shorten it a little bit. Mm-hmm. It could use the season, I should say. They could bump it up earlier in the season, and that would be fine because I'm so ready to be done talking about all these movies. But a lot of fun nonetheless.
All right, that's going to do it for this week. We thank you for going on this Oscars journey with us. Thank you again to Mark Schaefer for joining us for the predictions, and congratulations on the win. And we will see you guys next week.
Inglorious Brothers is a Harperama production and a part of the Harperama family of podcasts. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Please like, subscribe, and follow, leave a 5-star review, and most importantly, tell all your friends about us. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time. And, arrivederci.